This one goes out to Kangaroo Slam 69. Your chords for the verses are going to go as follows. You're going to start here on an E major in its first inversion. That's a G sharp, B, and an E. You're also going to hit this E down here, so you can think of it as, I guess, an E major in its root position with just an added E on top. You're going to play that, you're going to hold that for 2 measures, and then you're going to go to a C sharp minor root position with a C major on top, or excuse me, a C sharp on top. From there, you're gonna hold that for 2 measures as well. You're gonna go from there to an F major in its root position, F, A, C, and then F up here on top. By the way, the notes to a C sharp minor chord are C sharp, E, G sharp, and then C sharp up here. Going back to where we were, it's an F major right here, F, A, C, and F. And then from there, you're gonna go to an A sharp minor in its second inversion. And you're going to add a C sharp down here. So all together you got C sharp, F, A sharp, and C sharp. Those are the chords for your verse. You're going to play those in the left hand. Now there's some high piano fills that happen at the very end of the first and third chords that you play, or that they start at the end of the first and third chords that you play. For the second chords, all you're going to be playing for those chords in the right hand is going to be G, F sharp, G, F sharp, G, F sharp, G, F sharp. Now the notes that lead into that switches up at the end of the first chord and at the end of the third chord. So let's say you're just playing along, you don't have anything for the first measure of the first chord. Remember, it's an E major, remember, that we talked about before. We're up here on this end of the keyboard, so just keep that in mind. So you're playing the E major chord down here in the left hand, and right at the end of the second measure while you're holding this chord, the notes that you're going to play are C, E, B, and then right when you switch to the C sharp minor, remember, like we talked before, you're going to go straight from there, you're going to hit the G, the first G at the same time. So you're playing this chord down there, then you play that, you go from there to the F major down there in the left hand. You hold that for 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, C sharp, A sharp, and then it's back to, again, you're going to be playing, this time it's that funky A sharp minor with the added C sharp down here. And while you're playing that chord, down here, up in the right hand, you're going to be playing, again, G, F sharp, G, F sharp, G, F sharp, G, F sharp. That's your right hand fills for the verses. Putting those 2 parts together, you should get something like this for your verses. Those are your verses. And then for the chorus of this song, I guess you could call it, it happens right after the first verse when this like string line comes in and takes over. The chords for that are going to go as follows. You're going to start here with a D minor in its root position with a D on top. That's D, F, A, and D. And then the next chord is going to be a C minor 7th with an added 9th for dissonance. So altogether that's C, E flat, G, B flat, and D. Now I'll admit I don't have the biggest of hands, and that's a pretty fucking hard chord to hit altogether because you're using all 5 fingers and you're really stretching your hand out. So what I like to play during this part is I just play the C minor 7th. The D is optional. It's more for my producers out there who may want to remake this beat, just so you know this is there too for that second chord. And then, so you play each of those chords that I just showed you for a measure, then it's back to that C sharp minor chord from before. You play that for 2 measures, C sharp, E, G sharp, and C sharp. Then you play that exact same chord for 1 more measure, the C sharp minor with the added C on top, or excuse me, C sharp on top. Then from there you're going to go to a B minor in its root position, B, D, F sharp, and then you got a B up here on top. And then it's going to go back to the C sharp minor in its first inversion, or excuse me, root position with the C sharp on top, and you play that for 2 more measures. That's the end of your chorus, and then you're back into the loop with, or you're back into the verse loop with the E major chord that we used before. So the chords for your chorus are going to go as those are the chords to your chorus. And then the string lead from your chorus, it's going to be playing for the first 2 measures, nothing for the next 2 measures. It plays for the 5th and 6th measures, and then it's nothing for the 7th and 8th. If you want a good rule of thumb, for the most part, it's not playing when you're playing that C sharp minor chord, except for that 3rd measure, remember? Because you play it for 2 measures after the first 2 chords, and then you play it for 1 extra measure. So you don't play it for those first 2 measures, but then you have the lead, or the second part of your lead, for that 3rd measure where you're still on this C sharp minor, if that makes sense. So the string lead for the first half of the chorus, measures 1 and 2, is going to go D, B flat, A, B flat, D, C, C, A, C. Then the lead from the second half, measures 5 and 6, is going to go F, D flat, D flat, B flat, B flat, D flat, A flat, B, B, D, D, E flat. That's the string lead from your chorus. You're going to notice when I play my cover at the end of this video, I'm going to use octaves. I say this a lot. Octaves is just playing like the exact same note in 2 different places on the keyboard. Like this is a D and this is a D. Playing these 2 together, that's an octave. So if I were to play octaves for what I just showed you, it would be something like that. You'd be playing something like that. Putting those 2 parts together, you should get something like this for your chorus. That's the chorus to this song. The only other time your verse backing track switches up a little bit is when Tyler says, when somebody gets blamed because some white kid had aimed his AK-47, da 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 da. When you hear Tyler say that, your backing track is going to switch up to this. You're going to play an E minor in its second inversion. That's composed of B, E, and G, and you're going to play an E down here in the left hand. And this is really, really important. When you hit this chord, you need to be sustaining it with the pedal below. That has to happen for this next part to work. While you're sustaining that, you're going to hit an A minor 7th in its root position with an F in the left hand to make an F major 7th with a G added for dissonance. The G's the 9th. So you're going to hit this E minor chord, remember. And while you're holding that, you hit that second chord, this one here, F, A, C, E, G. And it gets some really, really cool dissonance in between the 2 chords because you're still sustaining this with the sustain pedal. And then from there you're going to go to a C sharp minor in its first inversion with a C sharp in the left hand, C sharp, E, G sharp, and C sharp. That holds for 2 measures. From there, you're going to go back to the A minor 7th in its root position with the F in the left hand, F, A, C, E, G. That holds for 1 measure. And then from there, you're going to go to an F sharp in the left hand and an A sharp minor in its root position in the right hand. A sharp, C sharp, and F. That holds for a measure, and then there's 2 blank measures before you start your outro, which is what I'm going to get to in a second. So, the one time that your backing track switches up is going to go as follows. Blank, 2, 3, 4, blank, 2, 3, 4. That's the only time your backing track switches up. And then the outro to this song is going to go as follows. You have 3 chords to worry about in the left hand. They are C sharp major 7th in its root position, C sharp, F, G sharp, and C. You're going to hold that for 2 measures. From there, you're going to go to a C minor 7th in its root position, C, D sharp, G, A sharp. From there, you're going to go to a B major 7th in its root position, B, D sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. Each of those chords that I just showed you gets held for 2 measures, and then at the end of it all, there's 2 more blank measures of just nothing, no instruments playing. With that in mind, the right hand that goes over top of this, it sounds like a plucked string instrument of some sort. The notes for that are going to go as follows. While you're playing the C sharp major 7th, or excuse me, that's the chord. I just played, that was a C sharp minor 7th. This is what you want to play. While you're playing this, the notes that go along with it, you're going to start on an A sharp, and like for as long as you're playing this chord, all you're going to hit is an A sharp, so all you need to get is the rhythm. So it's 1, 2... And then when you hit that G sharp is exactly when you switch to the C minor 7th. So as long as you're hitting this chord, all you're hitting is a G sharp in the right hand. So it's G sharp, and then when you hit that D sharp is when you switch to the B major 7th. And the only notes that you're going to play when you're holding the B major 7th are D sharp, and then you hit a couple A sharps. I'll try to point them out as I'm showing you this. There's one, and that's the other. Ignore that A that I just hit. So once all the time through, this is how your outro should sound. Blank, 2, 3, 4, blank, 2, 3, 4. That's your outro. And that's all you need to know for Goblin by Tyler the Creator.